welcome back to another episode of... Today we're talking about the 5-hit Touch of Death combo that, depending on the meta, was either game-ending good or absolute dog water. That's right, today we're talking about Quintet Magician.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
Who is Quintet Magician? Well, after doing some extensive research, mostly consisting of staring at the name and summoning requirements, I've come to the conclusion that Quintet Magician is either 5 smaller magicians in a trench coat, or a horrifying magician chimera made of 5 spellcaster parts. Whatever the case is, it ain't pretty.
Ugly people.
Quintet Magician has the somewhat difficult summoning requirements of needing 5 spellcaster monsters as fusion material. These can technically just be the same monster 5 times, but just like the Exodia from Yu-Gi-Oh!, you're gonna want to avoid creating such an abomination, because if you use 5 different monsters, we get a little surprise tool that'll help us later. When Quintet Magician hits the field after being summoned with 5 different materials, he attempts to turn your opponent's field into my friends list. Empty. Destroy all cards on your opponent's field. God damn! After blowing up your opponent's field, Quintet Magician also has the bonus effect of having 4,500 attack. So if your opponent doesn't have any floating effects, hand traps, or a way to negate his field deletion, in speed duel format, that's a... Oh! That's game! So, with an effect like this, how far into the game did you think we got this? Similar to Side Teleporter, Quintet Magician is another card that hit the TCG and Duel Links at nearly the same time. Released in April 2019 in the TCG and September 2019 in Duel Links, Quintet Magician came with some effects that were built for modern-era Yu-Gi-Oh! In fact, some of them were so modern that they were beyond our Duel Links players' understanding, starting with its protection effects. While it doesn't come with Towers level protection, it does get 3 funky alternatives. The first one is Destruction Effect Protection. This one's pretty basic, you should all already know this, but basically, he blow you up, you don't blow him up. It don't work like that. Easy to play around, but can be annoying for a lot of decks. The other two are Tribute Protection and Fusion Protection. Now obviously, in 2019 TCG, these were meant to protect from Kaiju-esque effects and Super Poly. But in 2019 Duel Links, we didn't really have those yet, except for like Lava Golem.
Floor's lava.
So these two protections basically just protected you from yourself. The last sort of protection that Quintet Magician gets is that its defense is equal to its attack, also at a whopping 4,500, meaning changing its defense position to try and beat over it isn't an option. So, with enough effects to defend its Second Amendment rights, how do you think he did in Duel Links? Quintet Magician was released in the Dark Dimension box. Oh yeah, older players know this box. The box that gave us Alistair the Windvoker, Element Sabers, Thunder Dragons, Magical Eyes Fusion, Samurai Destroyer, and Necro Valley. Also gave us this beast. Now when this card first came out, Konami clearly intended for it to be played as a generic spellcaster boss monster. You would usually just play your spellcaster archetype for a few turns, wait for your opponent to kill enough of your monsters, and then use Magical Eyes Fusion to pull Quintet out of your ass. This was mostly seen in decks like Gravekeepers, who are good at spamming a bunch of spellcasters with different names and have a built-in fusion, or in Magician Girls, who are good at stalling. But because of its Costco shopping list of fusion materials, it really only saw play in decks that could make it past turn 4 or 5. Well, that's kinda sad. Look at him. Look at his effect. If only we could figure out a way to bring him out a little faster. Hello? Who's this? In February 2020, we got Necros support, and that was a last puzzle piece for players to come up with one of the dumbest meme decks in this game. This is Quintet Magician Turbo, and if this deck had a slogan, it would be, I'm summoning him now. This deck has the singular goal of summoning out Quintet Magician in 1 turn or die trying. How's it work? Well, using Advanced Ritual Art, or Ara Ara as it's commonly called, you could ritual summon Necros Valkyrius by sending normal monsters from deck to grave. How many do you send? As many as you goddamn can. The optimal strat is to shove a bunch of level 2 normal spellcasters in your deck, use Ara Ara to blast 4 of them to your grave, then these 4 plus Valkyrius is a 1, ah ha ha, a 2, ah ha ha, 5 different spellcasters, ah ha ha. Guess what comes next? Bam! Magical Eyes Fusion. Quintet now. GG, good game, shake my hand. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't that a 3-card combo? Well, first of all, where'd you learn to count so high? Second of all, you're right, that's 3 cards you need in your hand and at least 4 cards you need in your deck. But luckily for us, you don't have to raw open them. First of all, this deck runs the skill Master of Rites, which lets you exchange 1 card in your hand for your choice of either a random ritual spell or random ritual monster in your deck, every time you lose 1000 life points. Quick fun fact, this is one of the only OG skills that was never nerfed and was in fact buffed in 2019. And rituals are so bad that Konami never had to nerf it. This would let you search whichever of these you didn't have in your hand, and have the bonus effect of returning any normal monsters in your hand back to your deck, which is where Ada Ada requires them to be. And then, to help you draw into Magicalized Fusion, you could run cards like Wonder Wand and Dumbo's Mom to transform your spellcasters and normal monsters into cards from your deck. Finally, you could use Necros Valkyrius' first effect to tribute cards from your hand and field to draw even more cards, and his second effect to just end the battle phase. And after all that, you just had to pray you drew into Magicalized Fusion. So, this is the part in the episode where I usually go on to tell you about all the broken things this deck did and all that, but I can't do that this time because this deck did literally none of those things. This deck did no amazing things, won no big tournaments, got no cards banned, nothing. So instead, let's talk about its best matchup. Heroes Alliance is one of the elemental hero variants that saw a ton of play before this atrocity was created. Like any proper hero skill, Alliance lets you search Super Poly upon summoning Neos. And between fusion summoning with your opponent's monsters, beating over them with your heroes, and destroying them with Sunrise, they can usually clean house. But, like The Beekeeper, starring Jason Statham, one man can stop all of those things. Can't be super poly, can't be destroyed, can't be beaten over, nuff said. I know, yes, they can lower its attack with like Gaia or Great Tornado, but I said best matchup, not good matchup. So where is Quintet Magician now? Well, Quintet Magician has taken the role it's always been destined to have. Spellcaster Boss Monster. Long story short, if your deck can pull out Spellcaster fusions, you can run Quintet Magician. The latest being Dark Magician, which has actually done pretty well. However, as the game has been going on, it's been getting both better and worse. With criminals like Bond players going around, getting super poly has become an actual thing we've had to deal with. And even though only one deck plays Kaijus, yeah, I'm looking at you, Crusadia, being able to ignore these forms of removal is pretty great. In addition, new spellcaster engines such as Magistus or Spellbooks, with knowledge, make filling your grave with dead people so much easier. Alistair would be having a field day right now. However, on the other hand, we also have more ways to negate Quintet's board wipe, remove Quintet from field, stop him from being summoned, flow into other monsters, and the worst one, put you out of his OTK threshold. Let's look at the pros and cons list. Okay, using my top-tier analyzing skills, I think he's getting worse faster than he's getting better. That's kinda sad, but worry not. It seems that I'm not alone in liking him, as Konami even put him in our 25th anniversary box. Who knows? Maybe we get a skill one day. Maybe we get some support. Come on, Konami, save my boy! Thank you guys for watching. I'm just gonna keep making these like I always do, but if you have any suggestions or requests, just feel free to put them in. I read all of them. I'll get to them eventually. Talking about you, Beginner Decks guy and Ojama guy. All of you. They're in the list somewhere, don't worry. I'll get to them at some point.